Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 3. My name is Kentaro Aksyal Daval and my friend is Ihsan Daifullah Muane. Now we will discuss about the EA framework or Enterprise Architecture Framework. So, what is Enterprise Architecture Framework? Enterprise Architecture Framework are the design of business process technology in every organization and company to achieve specific goal. The goal of the company architecture is to determine how an organization can achieve its current most effective achievement and the future. And then the emergence of EA began with two things. The first one is a complex system where the organization has to pay a lot of money to design or develop a system that is owned. The second is the business alignment with technology, where many organizations are experiencing difficulty in aligning business need with technology. In EA framework, there's also the main component. The main component there is three. The first is business architecture. The second one is the technology architecture, and the last one is the information system architecture. In information system architecture, divided into data and application architecture. Next, I will explain about the type of EA framework or Enterprise Architecture Framework. There is four. The first is the Zachman Framework. John Zachman published the Zachman Framework for Enterprise Architecture in 1987 and is considered one of the pioneers in this domain. The Zachman Framework has 6 perspectives or view. There is planner, owner, designer, builder, subcontractor, and also user. The explanation is planner, which define the object under discussion, the background, scope, and objective of the enterprise. Owner is recipient or end user of the product. After that, designer, an intermediary between what is desired and what can be achieved technically and physically. Builder, like a supervisor or regulator in producing the final product or service. And the last is subcontractor, the responsible for building and assembling part of the final product or service. Okay. And the second is TOGAF. TOGAF is the Open Group Architecture Framework. It is a framework developed by the Open Group Architecture Framework in 1995. TOGAF was used by the United States Department of Defense, but its development TOGAF was widely used in various fields such as banking, manufacturing, and also education. One of the advantages of using the TOGAF framework is flexible and also open source. For the next type will be explained with my friend Ihsan Daifullah. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 3. My name is Ihsan Daifullah and my partner name is Kentaro Aksyal. Today we are gonna discussing about the enterprise architecture framework. So on my part, I'm gonna explain about the type of the EAF or enterprise architecture framework. So the first, I'm gonna explain about FEAF or Federal Enterprise Architecture Framework. So the Federal Enterprise Architecture is a federal government enterprise architecture. They have a function to describe the current and the future state of the institution and the law or the plans for the transaction or from the present to the desired future state. And then the FEAF has a characteristic. On our paper, there are 4 characteristics. Is an enterprise architecture reference model, which means that's basically they have the characteristic itself, and then they have the standard used by the United States government. So the United States government, they're using the architectural framework for their enterprise. They're using FEAF, and then they are showing a comprehensive perspective view, and then they have a tool for planning and the communication itself. And then Gartner, or Gartner, according to Gartner, the enterprise architecture is about bringing together and then 3 elements, namely business owner, information specialist, technology implement, and etc. And then this Gartner view is about the strategy, not about the engineering itself. So they are focusing on the goal itself. And then one vision that has a major consequence with the business architecture, so for the information technology and engineering. And then the Gartner itself, they have a primary viewpoint for this architecture, and then they basically playing with the business, information technology, and the solution. And then next slide, we're gonna go to the advantage and disadvantage from the EAF, or the enterprise architecture framework. And then on this side, these are the advantage and the disadvantage of the EAF. So they have for the advantage itself, they are very flexible, and then the system metric is working well. Then they are focusing on the implementation and the processing itself, and then there are so many involved, or there are many involved for the industrial business, the government, and they are providing for many really world events. And then for the disadvantage of itself, to make the diagram, we need more standard template, so we cannot make another customizable template or etc. And then on the internet, not internet, enterprise architecture framework, there is no process for implementing stage, so which means they don't have an implementation for the stage to the stage one by one, and then they're very difficult to implement. So and then for the conclusion, the condition for the framework is very perfect, which means is very, they have a very many types, or many types, etc. like that. For example, like TOGAF, FEAF, TEAF, segment framework, which means very popular, and then and other framework. So they have from the name I just recommended that they have many advantages and disadvantages for each themselves. And then therefore the use of the framework is better according to what kind of internet architecture you want to model itself. So that's presentation from me. If there is a mistake, please forgive me. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.